them get better. But one of the things that has become so disturbing for me as it continues on, it's not really disturbing, but it bothers me that so many people are still not well. So many people are still seeking wellness and not finding it. Now, in my discussions today, I'm not here to bash an industry. I'm not here to make fun of the allopathic medical community. There is a place for that. There's a place for prescription medicines. There is. But I do take issue with some of the chronic use of some of these prescription medications, because in fact all we're doing with those, in my opinion, is stifling things. We're curing symptoms, which is curing nothing. So today we're going to talk about why it is that people aren't feeling well and how you can get there faster than you have been to actually start seeing some results. At the end of the day, if you walk away with nothing from this, remember one thing. If we don't get to the underlying problem, if you don't fix the underlying issue, whether it's emotional, energetic, nutritional, whatever it may be, and there are those factors we'll be talking about, if you don't get to that cause, you will not get well. Wellness starts there at the core, and unfortunately, in my opinion, allopathic medicine isn't looking there. If they were, they might find it, but they're not trained as such. Okay, so today I call this little talk of mine the secrets to natural wellness, and really there are no secrets. It's kind of been, some of the stuff has been put away in textbooks and websites that people haven't had full public access to, that hasn't been in the media, it hasn't been publicly known, but today you're going to learn a few things, I think. We're going to shake you up from the core a little bit and answer some questions. Feel free to interrupt me if you have a question. If it's a complicated question, let's save it for the Q&A at the back end. I'll be happy to talk about your specific issue, but if you need clarification, please stop me and I'll be happy to repeat what I'm talking about. So here's the deal. Millions of people across the globe are suffering from so many health conditions, weight issues, blood pressure issues, cancer, diabetes, digestive troubles, chronic fatigue. Who's having chronic fatigue issues? A good third or to a half of the audience typically raises their hand. So heart disease, hormonal imbalances, depression is rampant. Everyone's got it. And for a while I was really wondering why this was. I knew why people in my age group, from the 40 and up age group, were having issues with depression, heavy metals, candida overgrowth, a world of toxins we've accumulated all of these years, but I always wondered why it was that young people had it. And here's the answer. First of all, they contracted to have it, number one, because they came here to learn a lesson and to spur them on to do something important with their life, to learn how to fix them and help fix others. It is a process. But in reality, from a physical sense, a lot of these young individuals have these issues because it's passed down. Not just genetically, but yes, genetically. And just because you have it genetically doesn't mean you're going to have that condition. But more so, actually through the passing in the birth canal. So if your parent had candida overgrowth, had heavy metal issues, had blood pressure, whatever it may be, it is little viruses. They're passed through at birth. So the issue here is that many children, young folks, of all generations, but now in the millennial group, those born in, is that what they call them now? The 2000, born from like 1990 to 2010 perhaps even. These folks are finding themselves being very depressed at birth. This is not new. They didn't get depressed at age 18. They figured out they were depressed at age 18, but they've been depressed most of their life. That's the prelude to the rest of it. So my problem here, and why I take issue, is because I find that so many people are consumed with finding answers to their healthcare problems. It literally consumes their entire life. So now you're distracted from your true path because you're too busy trying to get well. Anybody busy trying to get well still not there? So you're here. I can tell you why that is and how to overcome that. There are ways to get well that we will talk about. Most individuals have been through the healthcare ringer, and I mean that very literally. Now, they're not out intentionally to cause harm. That's not what they're taught to do. But they are missing a few things, and in the process, all that poking and prodding, blood tests, CAT scans, not that they aren't necessary and helpful in some cases. If you look at all the high tech we've got, where have we gotten with it all? We can tell you with pinpoint accuracy what's wrong with you, but we can't fix it. That's my issue. We're going to talk about how you can fix it. How many people have been to countless doctor visits, ER visits, urgent care visits, just to find out that nothing's really getting better. They tried all the pills in the book. Sometimes we have some improvement in symptoms, but at the end of the day, most people are not better. In many cases, they're worse. Many people are suffering from PTSD. Big word for all the stuff we're talking about today. Post-traumatic, I like to call it post-traumatic sensitive disorder. So that's what it is. Yes, Mark.
I believe they've actually taken the D away from it. It's no longer a disorder. It's just
PTS.
Stress. So it's an interesting thing how we're starting to realize it's not a disorder.
It's not a disorder. It's a fact of this life, in this lifetime. So we all suffer. We've all had traumas. We've had them at the birth canal. We've had them all the way through. The longer we've been on the planet, likely more PTSD, probably the post-traumatic sensitive, not disorder, we will experience. And we're not correcting the problems that are creating. We've created trauma. It sits in the cells, and we're not fixing it. So it's going to fester. You're going to have some emotional issues. You're going to have some physical issues because of those traumas. And until we correct those and release them and let them go, and you will not be healed fully. Most of us are overwhelmed, are you not, with health information? How many thousands of pieces of information from all kinds of purveyors that are selling health care? But what kind and what price? So there's an overload of information. Who's telling the truth? I read all these blogs. I read all these threads of people who are suffering from heavy metals, mercury toxicity, which is a huge issue for people in my age group, and even some of the younger folks are having issues with metal toxicity. We talked about it a little earlier. Everyone has conflicting results, conflicting comments. Where do you go? What do you believe? What do you do? And how and where do you start? This is a big industry, the medical community industry. And it is an industry, and everybody's very clear about that. We all know drug prices are going crazy. No, we don't want to talk about all that. But what I do want to say is it's expensive. And for $4 trillion, which is what we spend in the U.S. every year, we should be doing better. We should be having more answers. We should be feeling better. And most people are not. Yes, there are some success cases, but is anybody really cured? Not in my book. Not in my book, except for things like infections. We have antibiotics. That's the only, in my opinion, the only thing we really cure is with infections. Antibiotic kills the bad bacteria, and you get better. And there are a few other examples similar to that. But for the most part, we have not been seeing the kind of results we want to have. So getting healthy and staying healthy shouldn't be this difficult. And it bothers me. It bothers me every day when I'm out and about talking to people and I have to pull my aura in because I can't listen to these stories anymore. I can't listen to their ER visits that resulted in nothing that cost them $50,000. I can't listen to the people watching their parents or loved ones die of heart disease when I know exactly what needs to be done here. It's hard to hear these stories. And it's heartbreaking for me as a practitioner and as an ultra-sensitive being. I am very sensitive. It's a double-edged sword, as we'll learn in just a few moments. So the bottom line is, many people are giving up hope that they're actually going to find results and get better. Some are choosing to leave. It's like, I can't do this anymore. We've talked about some of these individuals who said, hey, I tried. I'm done. Nothing's helping. I'm out. And it's unfortunate, and I want to stop it. And that's what the work that Melinda's doing, the work that I'm doing, and the work that many others are doing in this world right now to make a difference, to help people stick around, because these ultra-sensitive people like us, we have something to do. We have important things to do, very important things, and we need you here. It's my job to make sure I keep you here as long as possible. All right, so most people go on and suffer in silence, believing that this is as good as it's going to get. Bullshit. I'm sorry. It gets better than this. It's not supposed to be this way. Bottom line, correct the underlying causes. You can't do that unless you're looking in the right places, and they're not. But today you're going to learn where to start looking. All right. So why are you not feeling well? Any ideas? Secrets to natural wellness. What's one of the secrets? Why are you not feeling well? There's a big one. Nutrition. That's the biggest one. Because nutrition and water, and we'll talk about that. What else?
Chemtrails.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. Those who don't know what that means, we'll talk about it afterwards.
Absorbing the energies of others.
What's that?
Not releasing the energies of others.
Correct. Taking on baggage of other people. Because we are empathic and we're programmed to heal people. That's our job. If you think you're not a healer, please look again. Every one of you, at some extent, to some level, you are here to heal people. You start by healing yourself. Then you heal others. That's what you're here to do. All right, let's get to it. Number one thing we talked about it a couple of times through the day. You're not wired like everybody else. You may think you are. You wear the same clothes. You look the same. You look like the normal or abnormal people running around over there. But on the inside, it's a completely different story. You've been genetically coded, blessed, gifted, bestowed with the opportunity to do magical things in this planet. As healers, teachers, counselors, you name it. You come here to save the planet and the sensitive people on it. That's a take-home point. You can drop the rest of it, take that home, and we're done. But the reality is you should know why you're here to do it and how you get yourself well enough to do your job. Because most people aren't feeling well enough to help heal others. So you are sensitive, programmed, wired, and energetically different from others on the planet. How many people are ultra-sensitive on this planet? What percentage? In my observation, I've been working with this and watching for decades. I would say to you, 60 to 70% of the entire planet population is ultra-sensitive. Many do not know. They just know they don't feel well. There's guys that are holding on to all this sensitivity and these emotions and these feelings, and they can't get them out because they're not supposed to. Well, so they're top. So most of these people are not activated ultra-sensitives, but things are changing right now. This is the appointed time. People are awakening. Sensitive men and women all over the planet, all cultures, all races, are waking up to the fact I'm different, and I'm here to tell you how you're different and what you're supposed to do with it. So you are sensitive. And as such, as we talked about earlier, you require special care and handling in every aspect of your life. So please accept that fact. Don't be in denial about it. A lot of people say, no, I just get sad a lot, or I'm just depressed a lot, or I just don't know what I want to do with my life. Anybody having some of those symptoms? A few of those. Don't be in denial. Many ultra-sensitives are hiding away. They can't even leave the house. That's how sensitive they are. Some of us are blessed enough to be able to come out and help the public because we've pushed on, and we do it at a price. It's not easy for sensitive people to stand up here and share energy and take in energy. And we do our best to protect ourselves. But please understand that a lot of ultra-sensitive people are in denial. They don't believe it, or they can't. It couldn't possibly be that way because it wasn't on 11 o'clock night. Oh my God! How can I be sensitive? All right. Most of these people have been ridiculed, shunned, ignored, emotionally, physically, and physically abused in many cases. So know who you are, and find your purpose, as Melinda stated earlier. That's the key. What are you here to do? In my book, You Are Sensitive, and I did bring the only copy I have. This is my galley copy of the new book, You Are Sensitive. Hang out for this one if you can. Available in a couple weeks. I go in. There's a chapter. What is my purpose? There's some exercises that will help you get to that answer. All right. What's the other problem here? What is the other secret to natural wellness? This is not a secret. We talked about it a little bit before. The traditional medicine healthcare system is broken. It is sick. It needs health care. Okay, and I'm not blaming anybody. This is how it's set up right now. Doctors are taught to do things a certain way. It's about prescribing pills and sending you off to multiple specialists who are not communicating with one another, and all of a sudden you're in the healthcare carousel, and hopefully you get out well. Hopefully you get out well.
We're 34 right now.
I'm sorry?
We're 34.
There's no
behind
money in
Italy,
cures.
France, Indonesia.
Sure. Well, the answer
There's
is
no
there.
money in cures.
There's no
It's all
money.
in treatment.
This is a cureless, occupation.
The antibiotics are just to keep you alive long enough so they can leave you dry from the treatment that
Thank
they're
you.
doing.
My job is this. True that. But beyond that, there are things we can do now to take control of your health. Be in charge of yourself. Now, I'm not advising you not to go to a doctor when you have an illness. I'm not advising that. I'm suggesting you follow up with your practitioner. But if you don't like the answer and you're not getting better, do something different. And I'll tell you what to do differently. Number one, your diet sucks. Yes, true that?
Yes.
Well, now here's the deal. When you start hurting as bad as we are, and suffering as bad as we are, we're like, God, what am I going to do? You start reaching for other things. You become looking to alternative choices. Like, well, maybe I shouldn't be eating all that dairy. I should not be consuming gluten. If you want to get well, the first thing you do is you come off gluten. Anybody here eating wheat and gluten? Everybody in this room has some form or degree of autoimmune disorder. Your immune system is high. Your sensitive body says, I can't tolerate these things you're putting in and around me or on me, and I'm going to rev up my immune system to protect the body. So most of this room, with exception of maybe 2 individuals, has significant and palpable autoimmune issues. Which means the body is fighting itself to try and protect itself. It's a backward attempt to kick up the inflammation to save the body, and it backfires. Your diet sucks. We need to eat better. You're protein deficient. I don't care how much you weigh or how tall you are. You're protein deficient unless you follow some guidance elsewhere. Many people skip meals. They're not eating breakfast. Who's skipping breakfast? You please be honest with me. Okay. That's breakfast. Okay. The fact of the matter is, regardless of your weight, size, height, you are protein deficient in general. You're eating foods you're allergic to. Who's eating the wheat? I'm eating wheat. I like my beer. There's wheat in beer that I like. I've had the wheatless beers. They're horrible. Yeah. So I choose to have the consequences of having my beer. I know what I'm going to get, and I know the cause of my symptoms, and I choose to have it anyway. All right? Dairy, wheat, the nightshade family, tomatoes. Who likes tomatoes? Who doesn't? Who likes potatoes? I was weaned on potato chips from age 2 on. Grandma would have these stale bags of little Laura Scudder potato chips at 1960s. She'd have them put away for me. And every time I came over, which was 2 or 3 times a week, I'd get to have my fill. So I've been eating potatoes all my life. Number 1, potatoes cause depression. There's an ingredient in potatoes called solanine. Now, not all people will have an effect, but many will, and especially sensitive people. And ditto for the entire nightshade family. It's called solanine. You can look it up. The bottom line is, for many people, you eat. And what have we been eating all the way through from birth? Potatoes, tomatoes, wheat, dairy, gluten, all that. Food additives are making you sick. Please read food labels. This is not just a throwaway. You need to read your food labels. You'll find wheat in soup cans. You'll find wheat in frozen vegetable products. It's all over. I think to myself, well, why would they do that, knowing that so many people... We'll get into the why maybe later on the side. We'll talk about why they're doing that. Natural flavors. That term, natural flavors, you see natural flavors on an ingredient, that's when you walk away. Because that little pot can hold all kinds of things that can hide under natural flavors, and you're sensitive to it. What other issues are going on? Why are you sick? Your colon is having some trouble right now, and I'm going to go to 90% of this group has colon issues, tummy issues, digestive issues. Your colon is in a tizzy because we're giving it things it does not want to accept. Remember that your gut is your immune system. So when you affect your gut, you're kicking up your immune system, voila, you have autoimmune. By the time you hit your age 30 or 40, I've seen it in 10-year-olds that I've worked with. Autoimmune at early ages. Autoimmune disorders. Here's the big one. You are chronically, nutritionally depleted. You are missing so many vitamins and minerals, assuming you ate right. Now, we haven't got to that part. I'm not sure you are eating right, and you only know that, but I can tell you that for most people, they're not eating correctly. Assuming you actually use it and get the food in you, we've got the issue of malabsorption syndrome, which is caused by something called leaky gut syndrome. Who's heard of leaky gut? We all have leaky gut to some degree. I like the y'all stuff. Is it okay that I use it?
Sure, no.
He's teaching me. Okay. So, you got the leaky gut. That causes inflammation. Now the gut is unable to absorb nutrients. It slips through these little holes that get into the bloodstream instead of getting into the cells, and that kicks up your immune system. And now, you have autoimmune disorder. And it starts at any early age. So, beware. The gut is where it's at. Heal the gut, heal your life. Heal your gut, heal your life. So nutritional deficiencies, you bet on it. We got leaky gut, it's going to happen. Iodine, culprit, huge issue with iodine depletion, insufficiency. Selenium, magnesium, potassium, iron, zinc, folate, pick it. Then we start taking drugs like the Prilosec. Who takes any of these PPIs that help with heartburn? You know somebody who does. Then you take the acid away from that because you turn off the acid pump so you won't have reflux, which is the wrong thing to do. Because what you want to add is digestive enzymes. Instead, you're turning off the acid pump, and now all of these things you're actually eating don't get absorbed because you need acid to absorb those nutrients. So we're creating issues out there. B12, B6, all of that is an issue. We talked about it earlier. Somebody was smart enough to say that we are dehydrated. Yes, we are on a dehydrated planet. There's plenty of water out there. Let's find some and start drinking it. Now, if you're been told to restrict your fluid intake because of heart disease or other kidney issues, follow that. But other than that, here's how it goes. Half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 75 ounces of water a day roughly. There's some more than that. Then I have some people telling me, well, I drink the water, but I don't feel like I'm hydrated enough. Because we have the same issue with the absorption of fluids in the gut because the gut is not properly managing the movement of fluid. So getting the gut healed is paramount to taking care of this. And when we're dehydrated, we increase the risk of thickening the blood. Thickening the blood. So you'll have viscous blood, like oil, motor oil. The viscosity, for the guys who are going to know this, you have a 30, 40 viscosity, or 10, 20, 30. That's a very viscous, thick oil. You want thin for blood, and you start by hydrating yourself, especially if there's a history of heart disease in the family. But either way, drink water, and don't do too much of distilled water by itself. You will leach a bunch of minerals. So make sure purified water, not from the tap. You'll be fine. And of course, if you don't drink water, your kidneys are going to become dehydrated. You will have kidney issues, and you won't be able to flush all those toxins out that we are accumulating moment by moment. Another secret, not so secret, we talked about it already today. Your adrenal glands are not happy. They are fatigued. 100% of this room, without exception, to some degree. Some significantly depleted. And so if you expect to have energy to get through the day, and even a talk like this, you're going to work on your adrenal glands. What are we going to use? I won't be able to go through all of the remedies on that. They are in the book and they're online. But to start for adrenals, let's talk about a few things. All right, B complex. Start using a B complex. 25 to 50 milligrams of the B complex. Vitamin C with the bioflavonoid component in there. Great for the adrenal glands. The adrenal cortex supplements, in other words, adrenal glandular products. Now, I encourage you to get some guidance before you run out and buy all of these things. When I look at somebody, I take in consideration the dosing of that based on the rest of your whole makeup. So these things will be helpful. Get some guidance before you start all of it. But the adrenal cortex, the adrenal glandulars are super helpful in getting the stamina and the oomph back into your adrenals, which are constantly kicking out cortisol to survive the stress of these planets. Anybody stressed on this planet? I am. There's another item called pantothenic acid. Pantothenic acid. I think you know all about that. And it's 500 milligrams, 1 or 2 twice a day. You'll be calm. The beautiful thing about pantothenic acid, which is a B vitamin, it's calming and it's supportive of the adrenal glands. So it mellows you out and gives you energy. I recommend if you start with something for your adrenals, start with that. Pantothenic acid. Stay away from excess caffeine. Everywhere you go, I go to the grocery store, I'm telling you, God bless these energy drinks. Actually, not bless them. Don't bless them. I don't know what we're going to do with them. It's just, how do you do it? If I look at a can of this and I fall apart. So the guarana, all the other stimulants in there, the caffeine load, is just going to nail your adrenal glands. You'll feel good for a while until you stop, and then you will fall over.
Yes. What do you think about fluoride in the water?
What do I think about fluoride in water? I think you're asking for serious
because you're saying drink a lot of water.
Right. No, you want to get fluoride out of the water. Yeah, don't use toothpaste with fluoride either.
I've heard that.
The truth of the matter is that it actually increases the brittleness of bones, not the opposite.
That's my
Just the opposite. But they're teaching you one thing, and the truth, is, my opinion, of course, is it's the other.
A little history that I was researching, we had an excess of fluoride after a lot of wars that we were in, so that there was this misconception that it was a way to get rid of it from the stockpiles that they had, and we're all just absorbing all that.
I would hate to find out what they did with the overstock of arsenic.
Yep.
Have you ever priced fluoride-free water?
Right. Have you ever priced the new bulb, the old bulbs that are now new bulbs that are they're now triple the regular price because they don't want. Well, we don't want to go into all that yet. You know. All right. Next step. Your thyroid is starving. Get it? Your thyroid is starving. I talked about the thyroid many times. And 80-90% of this group has thyroid, significant palpable thyroid dysfunction. You may not know it yet because it's kind of got used to it. Yeah, maybe a few pounds are coming on. I can kind of get around, but I sort of run out of steam later in the day. Well, that's because your thyroid and adrenals, which are cousins, by the way. When one is down, the other one makes up for it. If they're both down, guess what? You're going to be laying in bed for much of the day. You'll have chronic fatigue. Anybody have chronic fatigue? Think they do.
How it got better.
Good. I want to hear about that. All right. So why are we starving for iodine? It's not in the foods anymore. It used to be. Wasn't it in bread? What was it in?
Salt.
So it was salt. It was
Iodized
other
salt.
things too, wasn't it?
Well, it was iodized salt used to
Anyway,
make bread.
it was in the foods. They took it out because they take it out. And it's not there. And assuming you're actually taking iodine, which I'd like you to consider doing, start with the low doses of about 200 mcg, not milligrams, but micrograms. You can get that in a multiple vitamin that has iodine, about that much. A little bit of selenium. Your thyroid will wake up. The pilot light will go on. There are a few here where the pilot light is not even on. I'm sorry. What is selenium? I'm sorry? What is selenium? Selenium is a mineral that's required for the conversion of inactive T4, now that you asked, into active T3, and that is the thyroid. And that 3 and 4 stands for molecules of iodine. Well, guess what? You don't have enough of those. So the thyroid is literally starving.
How much per minute?
200 micrograms is good. 200 mcg, same. 200 mics of each will be great way to start.
Iron is constipated. So
Iron is constipated, some forms. The ferrous sulfate, the stuff they sell at the drugstore, is constipating. But there are different kinds of salts that are not constipating, and it is necessary. We can talk more about that, but you get the better ones. Get the bisglycinate or the citrate. There are different forms. The chelated forms of iron are much better tolerated. Your body is toxic. Is this news to anybody? Your body's toxic. What from? Pick something. Pick something. Now we talked about the little compact, they call them CFLs, compact fluorescent lights. Those aren't bulbs anymore. Those are mercury-containing filaments.
Exhaust.
Like we don't have enough mercury load on this planet. The mercury burden on this planet is out of control. And if you want to cause depression, this is why we're seeing, it's not just the mercury nowadays. It's so many things. Even, of course, the vaccines contain thimerosal, which contain mercury. They're in the eye drops. They're all over. There's lists of places you'll find mercury, but your body is toxic from that. The leaky dental amalgams, we talked about should we or should I not remove my mercury? God knows, I have about 13 or 14 amalgams that were put in without my consent at age 8 by my parents because the dentist wanted to sell them.
Oh.
That's what they
and mercury, right?
If you take care of fluoride and mercury, you won't be depressed. I mean, really, that will pretty much take care of it. Anyway, so that is an issue. You can find toxins like that everywhere you go. It's in the cookware, it's in the food packaging, estrogen issues, pesticides. We are a toxic planet and we live in it. We're going to do our best to detoxify ourselves. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Your mind is toxic. TMI. Right? Too much information. Too much input. I don't want to be on Facebook. I don't know why I am, but I am. I don't look at it much, but everywhere you turn, I've got a piece of information I have to digest, or need to digest, or believe I need to digest, and it wears on me. Clutter in your home, in your office. All the Facebook inputs, the TV, the radio, all of this input, the newspaper, all the negative news. Your mind is toxic. We need to clear it out. We need less input. We need we need an input vacation. Who turns off their cell phone when they take vacation? Anybody? Ooh, Pierre, you get a couple points on that one. Most people have it by their bedside full on all night long. My kids do that. I'm like, why are you doing that? Number one, you have a microwave sitting right next to your head. You want brain cancer. Secondly, I don't want to hear it ring. I don't want to think that it's there. And the EMF energy from that can really blow your mind, literally. We are EMF toxic. I'm speaking of which. Wi-Fi everywhere. Who has a microwave tower near their home? You know what those are? Everywhere. Well, I guess the better question is who doesn't? I have a gentleman, we have a friend that lives down 3 doors from, 4 doors down. And he came to me just last week and said, "Oh my God, I can't sleep anymore. Did you guys have any problems with anxiety, insomnia, depression?" He literally, he's about less than a quarter mile from a brand new antenna that was put up, and he literally cannot survive. He cannot live. He has to move. In fact, he can't move yet. He's sleeping at a friend's house while the wife starts looking for a place. The problem is they're going to put another antenna up at some point somewhere where you are, likely. But it's not all bad news. You can protect yourself. We'll talk about how in a little bit. What are the symptoms of EMF toxicity? Some of them: anxiety, depression, insomnia, brain fog. Anybody have foggy brains? Let's go the other way. Who's not having a foggy brain? I want your number.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. You are battling undetected infections. Infections that no one is looking for. We already talked about one of those, a couple of them actually. Candida. It's a nasty yeast. Actually, it's nasty. When it's in control, everything's cool. But for most everybody in the industrialized planet, it's out of control and it's ruining your life. Then we have issues with Epstein-Barr virus. We talked about that. Then we have issues with microbes out of control in the gut. The gut's out of control. Not enough good bacteria in your body and too much of the bad stuff. There you go with autoimmune disorder, leaky gut. You have undetected infections, and these issues are creating immune responses. All the body's trying to get rid of all this stuff, always. The immune system's kicking up and kicking up. At some point, it gets tired and it fails. And for some very sensitive individuals, this is what we see. People are laid out. You'll see chronic fatigue is part of that picture. Undetected and unmanaged infections that the medical community out there is not looking for. All right. You have stifled your feelings and emotions all your life. Once again, you have stifled your feelings and emotions most all of your life. Most people have. I have not met anybody who hasn't done some of it. This is a problem. It's a problem for sensitive people everywhere, especially sensitive men who feel like it's not appropriate to be sensitive and to cry, to feel emotions and feel upset and to admit that they're depressed, to admit that they're sad. The highest suicide rate on the planet is middle-aged men between age 40 and 60, much high, 3.5 times higher than the suicide rate of females. Because the man does not talk to anybody. I mean, these people aren't even asking for directions when they're lost. They're not going to talk to you about their depressive feelings. See? You don't need to know how I feel. I'm a man. I'm bravado. You can't mess with me. Bull. It's messing with you. Don't stifle. You need to be more expressive, physically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, and in every possible way. You are stuck. Your liver is overwhelmed. We've got all these toxins floating around, and everything's coming through the liver, including all the prescription drugs you may or may not be taking. Even the supplements you're taking can go to the liver and cause problems if you're taking too many. And you can hurt yourself with supplements. Please, they are real medicines. And you got all the toxins, the mercury, the candida. Your liver's going, dude, what am I supposed to do here? Literally, it is overwhelmed. 85% of this room has these issues at a palpable level. All right. You have tried too hard to prove your worth to others. Are you guilty of that one? You constantly working to prove your value to somebody, whether it's in a romantic relationship, a workplace relationship, which is where it usually happens. I got to show you how good I am. Or it could be your parents. I mean, I don't know how many guys, and especially for the guys, but I'm sure the women have to prove themselves around perhaps their mother's side. But for guys, it's like you never could do it right. It was never good enough. And that continues for a lifetime. You got to stop pushing too hard, because when you push too hard, you're going to burn everything out. You are worthy. You are confident. Don't sabotage your self-esteem. Try too hard to prove ourselves to fake friends. Who has fake friends? We got rid of those long ago, but there are people.
Let's go the other way. Who don't have fake friends?
You know what I'm talking about. Your hormones are out of balance. Now, I get a good kick out of this one because in my practice, I have women and men come in with their blood tests for hormones, and the doctor said, "Well, your hormones are perfect." And I'm looking at this person going, "Uh-huh. Is that why you're 60 pounds overweight and you can't get off the couch? Is that why you're?" and your body is not the shape you want it to be in. Is this why you think your hormones are balanced? I don't say that. I think it in many cases. And this is not just for women, it's for men as well. And the issue is that most people are running around the planet, women and men, with high estrogen levels. This whole folly about, I have low estrogen, don't give me a gun or candy because I'm all this silliness, and the hot flashes. Yes, the hot flashes are real, but count your blessings when you have hot flashes, because that means you have low estrogen and not the dangerous kind of high estrogen that can lead to fibroid cysts, does lead to fibroid cysts, does lead to ovarian cysts, and does and can lead to cancers of all types. You don't want that. So hormones are out of balance. Polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, we talked about it earlier. That's rampant. It's just a throwaway term for high estrogen, low progesterone, and in many cases high testosterone. End of the day, your hormones are not correct. Yes, Mark.
One funny thing about that, one of the biggest diet kicks is soy milk and things like that. Soy increases estrogen levels at an exponential rate, so the diet is actually creating more of the issue that we're
Again, you get all this information, you kind of figure out what is accurate, what's correct, what works for me. And for even for sensitive people, what works for some people doesn't work for other people. So this whole mass of, how do I figure myself out? Then, of course, you have this issue with males at our middle age and our mid-age crisis, which is, by the way, quite real. We have our own pause. It's called the andropause. And we do go through it, and we do have our moods, and we do get hot flashes, by the way, just like the females do. Many of us do actually get hot flashes because we are in a hyperestrogen state, and that's why we also have prostate problems, because that estrogen is dominant. And it all depends on your genetics, but we can see serious problems when estrogen is that high. Here's the big deal, though. What's the real, in my work and in the years I've been doing this, the real reason we see estrogen skyrocketing, well, you have the pesticides, you have the packaging, it's in the environment. No question estrogen is out there. But the bigger problem is that if you over-nurture other people and under-nurture yourself, there will be a metabolic cascade of events, and eventually that nurturing hormone will climb. Estrogen will climb. It's not that you can't love someone and take care of them, but it needs to be reciprocal. Most don't give that. They give the candle to somebody and say, here, I love you, take this. Don't give your candle away. And don't over-nurture others. You're just causing harm and long-term consequences for the rest of your life. Here's one that may make you squirm a little bit, and that's my job, to make you squirm. You have failed to fully express love. Most people, if you really come down to it, are really afraid to show their cards. Why? We've gotten hurt before. We're extra sensitive. We don't trust. We've been rejected. We don't want to get hurt because we're already hurt. So we protect ourselves and we filter our love and we condition our love. Unconditional love. Don't be afraid to love again. That doesn't mean you shouldn't use your intuition and be discerning about who you accept in your life and to what degree. But don't cover it up. Learn how to give and receive love fully and unconditionally, and this is something that most people, in my experience, just don't do. Love. We came here to love. We're all love. We're a loving, sensitive being. Many people here believe they're not worthy of success. It's what I call the abundance conundrum chapter in my book. It's like, oh, I can't be successful. What do my friends think? They're going to judge me. Oh my God. What will they think if I'm that great? I can't be brilliant. I'm embarrassed. You are brilliant. Don't be embarrassed. You didn't come here for mediocrity. So accept the opportunities that come to you. It's not like you can't share it. You can. But don't be afraid to be all you can be. Many people are. Many people can't handle the fact that they're that good. And they choose not to go there. And as powerful manifestors, as sensitive beings are, we create just exactly that outcome. Not good enough? I won't be. That's your choice. So I'm asking you to rethink that. You are good enough and you deserve that. You're worthy of that. You have failed to release the past. Who's not released the past? I haven't released the past. When you don't release the past, you live in it. When you live in it, you're not living now. You're not moving forward. You're rehashing old material, which is not acceptable to you, but we do it anyway because it's kind of comfortable. It's not scary. I don't have to worry about being successful. I can live there. Oh, that feels so good. I remember doing that. How many reminisce constantly? I reminisce a lot. How many are extra sentimental? It's the same thing. We're living in the past. It doesn't mean we should forget those memories. They're wonderful. Get out of the past, get unstuck, and move on. You fail to recognize your intuitive, your empathic, your sensitive abilities, your ability to feel things, your ability to know things. You're all gifted with these empathic and gifting, intuitive abilities. You know what to do. But most people don't do a darn thing with their skills. Now, you don't have to. You use your intuition every day without thinking about it. But there are many people in here who could do a lot more with their intuitive gifts. So I'm going to ask you to start recognizing who you are, what your gifts are, and what you're going to do with them. That's what we're talking about. To that end, you're not doing what you came here to do. How many people in this room, by show of hands, feel like they've accomplished everything they want to accomplish in this lifetime as they believe it to? Nobody. Well, I'm sure there's one or two of you. But the bottom line is, we just accept mediocrity and agree that this is okay. This is okay to be this way. I can accept this. No, you can't accept that. You need to go deeper. You came here as an empathic, sensitive being to do something special. We've talked about this. Find out what that is. What's your purpose? You're stuck in an unfulfilling rut of mediocrity. It's just okay and I'm okay. Don't follow the herd. Be your own herd. You have ignored and mistrusted your own guidance. We know it's in there. As I mentioned, we do it every day. We use our intuition, our gifts of intuition, discernment, of knowing. Make sure that you accept that internal radar system, all of the gifts you've been bestowed with, and start using it. You have failed to speak out when you needed to. Anybody guilty of that one? Who has failed to speak out many times? Who has failed to speak out when they really wanted to say something? They bit their tongue and said, no, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to hurt their feelings. This isn't important. I'm not worthy enough of having an opinion. Anybody had that one? Yeah. So those who raise your hand, take a look at your thyroid, and I can tell you right now, we have some thyroid issues. Because speaking out and the thyroid, it's all right here. If you do that long enough, your thyroid will fail, iodine or not. Start speaking up. That doesn't mean be malicious or have malintent. It just means to speak your piece. You came with one. You have opinions. You're here for a reason. Make them known. If people don't like it, that's their lesson, not yours. Just don't be mean. You are all sleep deprived. You may think that 4 to 6 hours of sleep, if you actually get that much, is adequate. No, not. Sensitive individuals need at least 7, preferably 8 to 9 hours of REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. Do you know what REM sleep is? How many are actually getting 8 to 9 hours of REM sleep on a regular basis, and you get your phone number? Beautiful. We need your recipe.
You know what? I'm so grateful. I don't know what it is, but it's early in the evening. All of a sudden, I'm done, and I have to go to sleep. Beautiful. And it's anywhere from 8 to 10 hours.
And you wake up refreshed, right? You wake up in the morning being refreshed?
Not necessarily. But I'm grateful that I can sleep like that.
It's beautiful. We need sleep. It starts there. You're not sleeping. Your organs aren't regenerating. You're going to have immune problems. You're going to have blood sugar problems. If you have, maybe notice when they didn't get 8 to 9 hours of sleep, they woke up the next day and all of a sudden they're just ravenous all day long. You're going to be hypoglycemic the next day and possibly several days after. Can you imagine having cumulative days of that and never really getting the sleep that you need? Plus the lack of productivity and inspiration. Who wants to do anything when you're that exhausted? Your gallbladder is very unhappy if you still have one. And that's one of my pet peeves. Oh my God, don't take out the gallbladder because it can be fixed. It can be flushed at home naturally before it gets to the surgeon. If you show up with gall symptoms and you go to the ER, you will have it snatched away. You don't want to do that unless it's an emergency. But so there are ways to clear your gallbladder. The gallbladder is inflamed and it's growing little green balls we call gallstones. Why? Because over the decades we've held on to angst, anxiety, resentment. And where do we keep it? The liver and the gallbladder. So every time you have that feeling or notion that The nerve of them. Remember the phrase, the gall of them? In our day, that was a big deal. You still use that? Nobody talks about the gallbladder anymore. The gall of them, the nerve of them to do that. You're creating gallstones. You're building them from the bile stone. Get enough of them, you're going to inflame your gallbladder, you're going to block the bile ducts, and you're going to have symptoms which can start with chest pain, reflux, right side pain. It's a mess. It can be easily cleansed at home. Alright. You suffer from bouts of hypoglycemia. Who knows what hypoglycemia is? Low blood sugar. So, why do we have hypoglycemia? Well, if you start skipping meals, you're going to have hypoglycemia. If you don't have enough protein intake, you'll have hypoglycemia. If you don't have enough protein intake frequently enough to buffer those blood sugar, you will have hypoglycemia. So here's as an example. If you eat a complete meal and your blood sugars normally go like this, they peak after you eat and they come back down. But if you have hypoglycemia, depending on how severe, those blood sugars climb a little too high, and then they come down a little too low. And this little too low, that's your Snickers commercial right there. I gotta have something now, I'm going to eat your hand. That's the kind of stuff. My dad was that way, and it took me years to figure out what the heck was going on. But yeah, why did I get so darn cranky around mealtime? Anybody get cranky before, during, or after meal?
It's called hangry.
Hangry. Thank you for that new term. In the next book, I'll put it in. So you don't want to be hangry, and you don't need a Snickers, which is laughably the worst thing you could possibly do is to add sugar to that dilemma, because it's just going to explode on you, and you're going to have another crash in about 20 minutes. But the bottom line is most people here are hypoglycemic. Too low of blood sugar, and really the big culprit here, two things. Protein, as we discussed, needs to be more frequent and not skipped. And the fact that you have candida growing in your tummy out of control in your body is creating hypoglycemia. Top symptom, well, there's so many top symptoms with candida overgrowth, depression, anxiety, foggy-headedness, blood sugar crashes. That's in the top 10 of candida infestation overgrowth. So candida is the culprit behind your hypoglycemia. Anybody had a hypoglycemic attack? Knows what it feels like? It sucks. Because you feel horrible not just for the next hour or two, it can ruin your next day or two. So you've had it when you were young. She would literally pass out, fall over while playing with basketball. So it can happen. And if you're very sensitive and you're not eating correctly, hypoglycemia will ruin your day or two. You're not breathing correctly. Anybody hold their breath? Anybody holding their breath right now? I am. I do that. When you get nervous, you tend to hold your breath. But most people are not doing a full inspiration. They're not breathing fully. Who's not breathing fully and knows it? Take some breathing classes. I took one by accident. We were at an event, and we were actually a vendor at this one fair around 10 years ago. And one of the promoters of the fair said, "Hey, why don't you go on these classes? Take a break over here." "Oh, what class?" He threw me into a breathing class. I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know all about that." So what you want to do is make sure you're breathing fully. Take some courses online, and just make sure that you catch yourself when you're holding your breath. Because when you hold your breath, you become anxious, you can become depressed, and more. So just breathe inspired. We want to become inspired. If you want to be inspired, breathe in spirit. Let's all take a breath right now. Let's take a four. I like to call it a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breath in through your mouth. Actually, in through your nose. Sorry. In through your nose. Slow 4 count into the nose. Exhale through the mouth. 1, 4 count. One more time. In through the nose. I'm ready for that. Yes, sir.
Another way to attack that and your creativity, take singing lessons.
That's true.
We learn to not breathe the proper way from the diaphragm, we breathe our upper chest. It actually does not get us our oxygen.
Right.
And you get to sing.
And you get to sing, and you get to work your thyroid. You get to open up your thyroid and get it working. How about sleep apnea? Yeah. Horrible thing to have happen. Typically, that's due to a magnesium-calcium issue, and I use calcium-magnesium in combination for that for starters.
I've used those for 13 years.
You've used
Like, I think that will do.
Okay, and obviously it's helping you.
Oh, I can sleep in it.
It
I
is
can get 6-7 hours sleep.
It is a problem. Oftentimes there's an underlying metabolic deficiency that needs to be corrected. It can improve that. In some cases, in many cases, it is an energy issue. Too much energy in your sleeping room. We're going to talk about the fix for all of these things in just a minute, and that we'll talk about that. But your sleeping environment is crucial to sleep. And there can be underlying components. There are usually underlying components to sleep apnea that can be managed. Yes, the machines are helpful. If you're not sleeping and you need a machine to do it, then do it. You need sleep. All right. Those are the big picture items, the secrets to why you're not well. It's not really a secret. You probably didn't think about all of these issues before, but those are the main causes that I have seen over my 40 years of working with individuals who have had health issues. And those are the areas that I will be looking at if one comes to see me. We'll be covering all of these areas, at least most of them, every time I visit with an individual. It is a complete look at not just the body, but the life that is around the body. All right, so what do you do about this? We've got these issues going on. We know that we've done some things we shouldn't have done, but we want to get better. What are we going to do? Here's some ideas. First thing, what's the first thing we should do? We talked about it at the very beginning. Nourish yourself. Just call it one big pot here. Nourish yourself. Most people are undernourished. Ultra-sensitive people undernourished, you can count on having a challenging lifetime if you don't get your nourishment in, because that means your body, your organs are not like it. You're starving all of your organs. That's why you're tired. That's why you're depressed. That's why you're having constipation problems and bowel problems. You have not provided the nutrients necessary to get it done. Protein every 3 to 4 hours. We discussed that. Making sure that we use supplemental protein shakes like hemp or pea protein or even whey, if you can call it a whey protein, in between those meals to get more protein in. And anybody here vegan or vegetarian? Vegan? Vegetarian. Anybody else? Anybody vegetarian? It's very important as a vegetarian and a vegan that we really watch the B12, because you tend to be B12 deficient, as you well know, and iron deficient and protein deficient. You will feel better when you manage those particular deficiencies. Now, what I do in my practice, when folks come in to see me, I use that muscle testing type of mechanism that Melinda was pointing out earlier. We call it a number of things. It's called a number of things. I call it kinesiology, but really it's aura testing. When I check somebody this way, Melinda made a connection with that auric field and was able to determine, have a question about anything, she could determine it by the muscle strength. And so it really is aura testing. So when you come to see me, and perhaps others in the valley, I don't know how they work, but I'm going to check your organs, your microbial loads, your candida load, and your hormones and thyroid that way. And it's your unique barcode. It is an accurate way to check and see what's going on. Do not skip meals. What's going on with this? No meal skipping, please. 4 to 6 smaller meals of protein every day. Protein is what? Turkey, chicken, fish, beans, eggs, nuts and seeds. Fish, please be careful with fish. Be careful with fish. I had a couple clients just recently who came in. They'd had their mercury amalgams removed. Right? So now we've mobilized mercury, and it takes, as I mentioned, 3 to God knows how many years to get better if you can. And some people do well on the 1 to 3 year plan cleansing, but this particular gal had just done it about a year earlier. She went out and went to a 5-star restaurant, ordered a swordfish meal, and ended up in the emergency room with palpitations from acute mercury poisoning. So please, I'm not scaring you away from fish. It's actually quite healthy. I like salmon. I'm afraid of it now. Anything from the sea should be scrutinized carefully. Anything. So just be aware of that. All right. Work your way off of gluten. If you're going to do one thing off your elimination diet, you can go and get food allergy tested. We offer that in our office through kinesiology as well, non-invasive, accurate, right there, get results. The bottom line is I'm going to ask you all to think about at least coming down on your consumption of wheat and gluten. The number one troubled food product in the world, in my opinion, is wheat and gluten. It is troublesome. It causes immune disorders. It causes more trouble than you could possibly want to have. So we want to come off of that if possible. Your immune system will thank you. Drink more water. Hydrate yourself. We already talked about that. Please drink water. We need it. We're all water. 60% of our body is water. We need some. We want to make sure your blood is properly thinned down. Replete and replenish those nutrient deficiencies right away. Well, how do you do that? Start with a good quality multiple vitamin for starters. And that means buying it at a healthy store, not at the drugstore necessarily. Make sure it's a good potent one. Ask the people at the store to to guide you through and start getting some of these nutrients immediately. Most of you are going to require additional iodine. Most are going to require additional magnesium. In some cases iron, but not always. In certain cases I do not recommend iron. So these things will need to be replenished as decided upon. Now, again, it is very helpful to have somebody help you figure out what exactly you are depleted in. You may not be significantly depleted in all of those key minerals and vitamins. So again, in my practice, or whoever is doing it out there, make sure they check to see what your levels are of B12, of B6, of folate, of zinc, of iodine. They should be checked. Now, be aware that some of the hair analysis, they do hair analysis for these things and blood tests for these, they don't check. The results are not indicative of what's really going on in the entire body and may not reflect what you're really deficient in, or it can go up false positives and false negatives. I recommend applied kinesiology by somebody. You'll know exactly what you're deficient in, and they will help you dose the replenishment as you need to have it dosed. So iodine, selenium, magnesium, potassium, zinc, folate, all the B vitamins need to be managed. With regard to that, very quickly, is that a lot of people take supplements and vitamins, prescriptions forever. Who's been taking or knows somebody who's been taking a prescription continuously for years? I take issue with that. I take issue with that because there are a group of people known as the ultra-sensitives of the planet, of which you are a group, that only need, and part of this group, actually I call spontaneous healers. We only need a starter dose of something to get the fix going, to get the mechanism back in order. We don't always need continuous supplementation with vitamins, and certainly not always continuous use of prescription medicine. And why don't they have a prescription drug that works with one pill and is better? Mark?
That's a great question.
Okay, we know the answer. Okay, so.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, what about cholesterol? Like high blood pressure?
Okay, so
Something.
what about
Cholesterol.
So let's talk about cholesterol for a moment.
Because they give it to you. Then I've tried to go off several times. But they say you have to take it for the rest of your life.
I'd say about that about most everything. And I'm not going to bash that. I'm just going to tell you as far as cholesterol specifically, that's a liver issue. That means your liver is not working correctly. And ironically, these statin drugs that they use to treat high cholesterol actually cause liver stress.
What about your kidneys? That bother you?
Which one? The statins?
Yeah.
Oh, it bothers a lot of things. The neural system, it causes, shown to cause problems with blood sugar, increases risk of diabetes, etc. But there are natural ways to get cholesterol down, even if we don't just do liver supplementation, liver support. There are ways to get your cholesterol levels down.
And anytime once statins are introduced into your body, weaning yourself off them becomes almost a possibility. So it actually crashes your system.
They can. They can cause some serious neuromuscular issues, and make sure you take coenzyme Q10, CoQ10. If you're going to stay on any kind of statin, and there are natural statins, CoQ10 is what you want to replenish, because these statins deplete your supply of coenzyme Q10. Should take, most people can. Now, I'm an example of someone who can't take much of anything. Now, I use it, a lot of things in my patients, but as my body, my wiring is completely different, and I'm exquisitely sensitive. I can't take it. I will get palpitations because of these things. Anybody else get palpitations because of yes. Okay. Rekindle your thyroid function. We need to get it working right away. We already talked about selenium iodine. Start expressing yourself. Start being creative in every way. Speak out. Don't bite your tongue. Kick up and revitalize your adrenal function. We already talked about the ways to do that. It's the adrenal, thyroid, liver connection. You want to feel better? Get those three organ systems working. You will perk up. Your mood will perk up. Your energy will perk up, and you will start getting better naturally. And just try not to allow all of this life stress. It's easy for me to say. Don't sweat the small stuff. Frankly, it's all small stuff. You woke up this morning, you have a place to live, you have clothes, you have food, you're in life tonight. Okay? Enjoy. Clear your home and your workspace of negative energies. That includes getting rid of, or asking some of these fine spirits to give us a little break at night sometimes. You find that to be an issue, Melinda, where some people are overwhelmed with loved ones coming in during the nighttime and they can't get rest.
Absolutely.
So get rid of the clutter, get rid of energy attachments, make sure that everybody living in your house is energy compatible with you, otherwise have a sleep in the next room. I've seen that done. I've seen it done. And make sure that you understand the history of where you're living. You need to know who lived in your abode before you lived there, because very likely the energies of that abode, and the people who lived in it before are still in there. So all of a sudden, you're feeling sick and depressed after you moved into their house. Guess what? There was probably a sick, divorced, angry couple that lived there before you. Furniture too. Antiques specifically for me. I love the idea of antiques, but guess what? Lots of people live with those items, and the energy of those prior occupants, prior owners, are in the items. Used cars. Mirrors. If you want to sleep well, cover your mirrors, get rid of them altogether. Don't be sleeping in a room with mirrors. You won't sleep, because spirit activity likes to come in through the mirrors. Yes.
What if you live in the house he's born in?
Are you willing to accept the consequences of it?
You know, I've been there 82 years.
You feel okay?
Yeah.
And we're good.
I just want him to date a younger woman. I'm just trying to get him to date. Just bring somebody to the house.
She's scared me to death.
We're going to introduce new energy to the house. On that note, learn how to sleep well again. And what about sleep hygiene? Don't go to bed angry. Don't go to bed hungry. There it is. Those two. Don't go to bed hangry. Because if you do, you will wake up. I have a gal I saw just a couple days ago in the office. She says that she has to wake herself up at 2 a.m. to eat, otherwise she won't sleep because she has severe hypoglycemia, and she knows it because she has severe candidiasis. I'm like, oh Lord, we got to clear this puppy right now, and we did. TVs, cell phones, electronics, get them out of your sleeping room if you really want to sleep. If you don't want to create some extra crazy energy in the room. Make sure the room is the right temperature, the right darkness. Make sure you've done all the right things to keep good sleep hygiene. Get to bed at a reasonable time and get some reasonable hours of sleep, 8 to 9 hours. Decongest your liver. Love your liver. I'm gonna have there's got to be a bumper sticker out there, right? I've seen it, I think. Okay, love your liver. Because everything comes through the liver. It's like, dude, you're overwhelming me here. Give me a break. So decongest your liver with milk thistle. And milk thistle can be one of the components. There's a great product that we use. We use a lot of great products in the office, professional grade stuff. This one's called LVR. It has several very cool, it's a great blend. Get a good liver support blend and get your liver happy again. With this caveat, once you get your liver working, guess what? All these toxins that have been laying around, just hanging around the house there, are going to be forced out through the liver, and you might start feeling a little clunky. You're going to start detoxing. Once your liver starts working for a little bit, you will detox.
What did you say about milk?
Milk thistle. It's an herb called milk thistle. Thistle? Tistle. If you need some help, on the Q&A, we'll be answering specific questions to help you get set up there, which is what you need to know. Turmeric is very helpful. The N-acetylcysteine very helpful for liver. And for God's sake, if you need to forgive somebody, do it. Forgive them for your good, not for theirs. Your liver will be happy. You'll sleep better. You'll feel better. Let it go. There's nothing you can do about it. You didn't forget it, but you released it and forgave it. Get your hormones checked and balanced properly, especially women and also men, please. It's done through kinesiology in my office. A little bit of progesterone cream topically over the counter will do the trick. And I'll tell you about doses on that a little bit. It's specific. I'll get into that a little bit later. Stop being a short healer. We had a few short healers up here earlier. What do I mean by short healers? Thank you. We want to heal you. Oh, please do this. Oh no, you got to do your shoulder. I said I want you to do that. Don't that. Let these people learn their own lessons. Now, you're not going to let your loved one jump over a bridge. You're going to stop them. You should. But the other stuff, hey, you're interfering. Let them deal with it. It's not your lesson until you take it on. And so many of us are taking it on. Don't own it. Stop being a short healer. Stop over-nurturing others start nurturing yourself. If you don't take care of you, who's gonna take care of them? Let's get those estrogen levels back in balance. Start pampering yourself. Start loving yourself. Start giving back. You've raised husbands and children and God knows what, women, and men too. But the women are notorious for giving too much. As I mentioned earlier, don't give your candle away. Here's one for you. Fix or clear all unhealthy relationships. One more time because it's so important. Fix or clear all unhealthy relationships. I say this because I know for a fact, and I think you all know this examples of this as well. You go too long, you stay in relationships too long, and you mess yourself up physically, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, and in every way. If you've given it a good go, you've really worked at it, and you can't fix it, make another decision. Okay? It's for you. You deserve to have happiness and abundance in your life. Get rid of those traumatizing family ties, all those fake friends, all those business partnerships that just aren't working out. You've tried and it's not working, get rid of it. Remember, the meter is running. The meter is running. Enjoy your time. Express yourself in every way. Every way. We've gone through this ad nauseum. Creatively. Why? It wasn't that funny.
She's your poster child.
Okay. We'll get a photo. So creatively, sexually, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, start doing what you love to do. Most people aren't doing what they love. Like anybody here doing exactly what they love to do. There'll be a couple. But it took a while to get there for many of you to figure it out. And most people are not yet. We'll go up and down. We learn our lessons. Start expressing yourself. Figure out what your hobbies are. And quit stifling. Don't stifle energy. When you stifle, you get sick. What you hold on to will eventually make you sick. We want to get better. So we know what to do. Be creative. Give yourself permission to receive love and to give love unconditionally. That's going to make it so weird for some people. Like, dude, I don't know. Yes, be loving. Even take a chance. Start experimenting with what you got in here. So many people, so many passionate people in this room. But we're afraid. We're afraid to take the chance again. Do it. Experiment. You don't have to open up the whole thing right away. Start experimenting and start really living and really enjoy everything that love brings to you. The physical, emotional, spiritual, mental aspects of love. By the way, do you feel the love in this room? Really, do you feel the love? Yeah. Because people are opening their heart chakras right now. Right, Duffy? Mark?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's actually
Remember, how many times is someone offer you something out of kindness, you say no thank you. Accept the gift that was offered.
Be grateful and gracious. Thank you.
Can I say one thing first?
Yes.
Stop forgiveness.
Please.
Beyond forgiving those to others, unless you start forgiving yourself for it, you're going to have to know that.
That's right. Take action. You can fix yourself. You are fixing yourself. You came here to be fixed. You are being fixed. You're doing it right now. All right. Start using your gifts. Intuitives, start using them. Become intuitives. Hang out a shingle. Help your friends and neighbors. Empaths, start feeling people's issues. Protect yourself. But start figuring out what's going on with folks. Become a healer. Start working your energy work. Become a psychic medium. Start connecting and giving
I
closure.
lost that whole 2 sentences because the guy with
He didn't have an open heart chakra. What was I saying? Open it up.
Lay your shingle.
Lay your shingle out. Start using your gifts. Whatever it is, and you know what it is. If you need help, some stuff online you can read. You can read the chapter in my book. But really, if you go deep inside, meditate. You don't have to do the fancy meditation thing. I'm not into fancy formal meditation. Sit with your eyes closed and just start letting yourself, let your mind be free. No restriction, untethered. Let your mind be free. And you'll find it. It's in you, and only you know. You can go to all the counselors in the world. They're not going to tell you what to do, nor should they. It's in you. All right.
Dr. Faith,
Yes.
also make connections with people here because we're all open-minded. That's why we're here in the first place. And there's nothing that allows you to be yourself like someone who allows you to be yourself.
Doesn't it feel, that's a good point, Mark. Doesn't it kind of feel more, don't you feel like liberated kind of being in this room? Like all of a sudden we have a new family that we may not see each other for a while, but we may. But it's safe. You feel safe. Am I feeling safer in this room to really be themselves? We don't get that out there all the time. You sure don't get it in the workplace. You sure don't get it interacting with fake friends and unhappy relationships, but you get it here. The camaraderie. Thank you. Discover your true purpose in this lifetime. We talked about that. Heal your gut. How do you heal your gut? There's a number of things, supplements you can do. First thing you do is clear candida and other secret or undiscovered, undetected infections. Next, flaxseed oil. If you're taking blood thinners, make sure you talk to me or somebody before you start that one. Quercetin. I'll spell these things out later if you missed it. Collagen is useful for healing the gut. Glutamine, supplement called glutamine. These things, a combination of these things, or one by itself, can actually help heal the gut. It does take some time, and once you do, you'll find that the nutrients you're consuming are actually going to go where they're supposed to go, and you'll have more energy, and you'll start feeling better. Get food allergy tested. Anybody had food allergy test done before? Blood test? I'm glad somebody's looking. I'm glad an MD or somebody's referring somebody to get a blood test or some kind of checking for food allergies. But just know this, when it comes to food allergies and blood tests, there are many false negatives with blood tests. And they'll proudly say, well, you're not allergic to anything, or you're allergic to 2 things. I assure you that every one of you in this room is allergic to at least 10 things, most of which you have no clue you're allergic to. And you're consuming them on a regular basis. And you're causing that gut inflammation. So get food allergy tested through kinesiology, which is what I recommend, and you will feel better. Accept this fact. Accept the fact that you are brilliant. You know that one? Once again, you are brilliant. So we're going to do a little exercise here. This is a little challenging for some people because we've been programmed to believe we're not good enough, either inadvertently or intentionally, throughout our entire life, in our workplace, in our family relationships. We just feel we're not worthy. Bullshit. You're brilliant. You didn't come here to be anything less than brilliant. So, on the count of 3, I want to hear it now. I'm going to hear everybody say loudly and clearly, I am brilliant, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
I am brilliant.
One more time. 1, 2, 3.
I am brilliant.
And finally, the 3rd time. 1, 2, 3.
I am brilliant.
Keep doing that every morning in front of a mirror. Guess what? You'll believe it. You're already believing it. Trust it. It's true. You didn't come here for nothing. You came here to be everything you're supposed to be, and you are good. Begin to breathe. Stop that. You're going to practice your breathing. The 4 count. Relaxing. Clear yourself of all environmental toxins. We are toxic. Cleanses, please. Colon cleanses, liver cleanses, candida cleanses, gallbladder flushes, just with this caveat. Please do it carefully, slowly, and with guidance. Because some people are so sensitive and so toxic that these kinds of detoxification flushes can wreak havoc on your body, especially if you still have mercury in your system. Who has mercury amalgams in their mouth now, please? None? No silver fillings in your mouth?
I was going to ask you about chelation.
Okay, we will get to that. But do you have them removed? No. You're very, very fortunate. How many people? Yes. So if you have mercury amalgams in, it's a big, big, big controversy about what to do about it. I kept mine in. That was my choice. But if you start detoxing and you're not careful, you start mobilizing mercury, which you will, and you don't do it correctly, and you start doing it too fast, you can hurt yourself. So detoxification should be done with guidance and in the proper order, but I encourage you to explore that avenue so that you can feel better. Minimize EMF exposure. How do you do it? There's everything on smartphones, smart meters. I have clients that
Move out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm sorry?
Move out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that's one thing, but that's one way maybe. But you don't know when they're going to put another tower up.
Right.
The bottom line is the smart meters are coming up everywhere. We're going to load a sea of Wi-Fi. Just become aware of that. Use your phone only when you need to. Find out how close your house is or your workplace is to electronics. I had a gal call me. I worked with a client here in Oregon. One of my Oregon clients called, and we were doing her thing, and she got everything balanced. She was feeling fantastic. And then one day she said, well, I took a vacation from work, and I was feeling really, really good. So I started tuning into her workplace. I said, so I don't know what you do exactly for work yet, but wherever it is, there is an EMF overload in your workspace. Sure enough, she said, I have my desk right next to the master panel of a 5-story old school building, and additionally, the major antenna for that entire area was like 50 feet outside her room. So she was definitely EMF toxic, and she's just astonished that she had all the symptoms of EMF overload, and many of you do too. So become cognizant of it. We can't change the planet. Everybody is buying all of the next greatest unlimited minute plans out there. But the idea is to be aware of it and do your best to avoid exposure and to protect yourself with certain devices, which, by the way, are available. You can have EMF devices, detoxifying devices in your home. You can do your whole home, your whole office. And I wear my personal one. I wear my little guy here. And I feel really much better with this. So there are ways to take care of that. All right. Revitalize your gallbladder. Yes. We're going to do the gallbladder flush. If you need information on the gallbladder flush, email me after this session today, or this group, this program today, and I'll get you the copy of the gallbladder flush, which is safe, no supplements, no medicines. It's done in the safety of your own home. In the comfort of your own home, it's easy and cheap. And we can chat about that a little bit later. Then you're out of luck. You don't need to flush anymore. But truly, the fact of the matter is, Duffy, the issue here is even when people have their gallbladder removed, they still have gall pain in many cases. Because what has happened is the gallstones that were behind the gallbladder are still in the ducts. They left. The fact is, you still have gallstones, but you don't have a gallbladder. And that's the case in many particular cases. That is exactly what's happening. Protect yourself. From what? From everything. You are ultra-sensitive beings. Anything and everything can set us off quickly and easily, much more than those who are less sensitive. By the way, just because we're ultra-sensitive shouldn't give us an ego. It doesn't mean we are better than these other individuals, but it sure means we are different and we require special care and handling, as you can see in every aspect of our lives. Protect yourself from everything with protective devices, staying clear of negative people. Basically, all people, places, and things that do not resonate with you, stay clear of those. Protect yourself in every way you can think about. And get an entity clearing. If you're having troubles, I don't know, if you get involved in any of that, do you recommend anybody who could do entity clearings?
I think about things. I clear buildings sometimes.
Yeah, and so we do too. Susan does it remotely, and I'm sure you do. Yeah, we have people. But the bottom line is, if you have spirit activity that's disrupting your life, you need to find a way to manage that and try to find out who these individuals are, what they want, and communicate with them to allow yourself to carry on a normal life. Ceremonies, rituals, mantras, those are helpful. Pamper yourself. When I first started talking about this years ago, I thought I was going to get a lot of people tell me that they don't pamper themselves. Now, who does pamper themselves? Okay, and I get this. Okay, so I'm interested. What do you do?
I do massages almost every week and acupuncture every week.
I love it.
And whatever comes up that's delicious,
thank you.
I'll do it.
Who else is pampering? Yes.
I'll go out and hike in nature around to get away. I'll get massage. I'll take myself out for the night if I just need to relax and chill.
I'm digging this. Linda.
I get massage and I listen to a lot of music. I play a lot. I have a great partner who cooks for me.
Awesome. More pampering?
I'll do the sissified bathtub soap with candles.
Dude, I'm all over that.
My favorite thing, though, is I've got a couple places that are used to be coming up and renting their cabins. Before I get up, they will remove the TVs, the stereos, the clocks, the calendars, and I turn off the phone. I don't use the computer. I lay out 7 shirts. And when I get to the purple shirt, it's time to go home.
So you're going to type this out, and you're going to send it to all of us so we know how to do this? Thank you. Pampering, anybody else?
Well, I go for my dog and I go for a walk in the morning and I get my caffeine then. I'll go away for a week at a time just to reboot.
Well, and I'm loving all of this, and I'm encouraging you, for those who feel they're not pampering themselves, buy what you can afford and get the nice clothes, have those great dinners. By the way, for those, we talked about, being careful with food, and here's my take on food in general. If you feel guilty about what you're eating, your body does not know how to utilize it correctly. You want to eat chocolate? Enjoy it. No guilt. Your body will figure out how to manage that properly. You could eat broccoli all day long, but if you're feeling guilty about eating it, guess what? It's not doing what it's going to do. So enjoy your food. Speaking about pampering, we enjoy eating out, and we enjoy. Anybody else want to share a pamper? I got to hear this one, Mark. Go ahead.
I find helping others is pampering myself. I know that's
love that.
horrible, but
Not
as
horrible.
I've learned,
No,
it's
it's
horrible,
awesome.
Mark. It
As long as I let it go.
It's horrible, Mark.
As long as one can let it go, though, after you do it. Because in the beginning, when I first tell people, though, I held on to it. Holding on to it's the worst. It's being able to let it go after you help.
You're not
That's
stifling,
hard.
and you're going to be healthy. You are healthy. You're much healthier than I remember you a year ago.
Oh my
God
gosh,
bless you.
so much.
Heather?
Creating
Creating a sacred space. It's a great sacred space here created for this afternoon. All right, so do pamper yourself. You deserve it. Choose your health care carefully. I'll just leave it at that. There's more to say. I know. All right, but I will say this: don't own your diagnosis. Let me say this: don't own it. Just because they say you have diabetes does not mean you have diabetes. Because if you believe that, then guess what? Even if you don't, in many cases you don't, you will get it. Ditto for any pick of health conditions. Cancer doesn't mean these aren't real conditions that have real problems. Don't own it. It's not yours. It's not your cancer, not your diabetes, not your heart disease, not your blood pressure. It's an imbalance that we are going to correct. Yes.
Yeah, can I add on that? Something I learned the hard way is not to look at healthcare as a separate cost, but look at the full bucket: health, food, exercise, workout, vacation, relaxation, everything in that same bucket.
Let's call it self-care. Self-care, better word. Clear Candida. We talked about this. I don't want to get into the specific details of it. We can do it in the Q&A, or you can talk to me afterwards. And as Mark said, and it was in here originally, but he is absolutely correct. And for those who feel the same way, accept success. It's okay to be successful. It's not okay, it's mandatory. Whatever success looks like to you, own that. Accept success and abundance and all the opportunities that are being presented to you. So many times, I know people that just feel too guilty to take the opportunity. Take it, say thank you, be grateful. All right. To close, remember, you are sensitive, wired differently to do a very specific, important, and powerful job during this transition into this new world we are creating. We're literally doing it by being here in groups like this today and other groups around the world, really. You are making a difference just by your existence. It's why you chose to be born in this time. So I am so blessed to be able to share space and energy with all of these wonderful, sensitive beings. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much.